Alright, I'm getting ready to pack up some planner orders, and I figured I would hit record, chat with y'all a little bit, and thought it would be fun to talk about handmade planners, handmade journals, and different things like that, because I get asked a lot about that on this channel, and I am currently packing some up. I'm actually working on my final 3 planner orders. I don't have any more in the queue as of right now, so so if you want to get your hands on the Inspired Blueprint Planner, definitely order. I'll make sure links and stuff are down below because this is so beautiful, y'all. This is the Committed to the Call one, and I'm packaging this up for, actually, let me get some names. Let me shout some people out. So we are packing up a Committed to the Call for Lorene, and she is in Utah. So I'm packing hers up right now. But yeah, I get asked all the time about the process, like why I do it, just different things, of course, like how to do it. I will just say that I do have a full course on how to hand make these yourself, as well as how to design it too, you know, so like if you're trying to figure out how to use the software and everything. I show you how to design it in InDesign, which is the program that I use. It's an Adobe program. And so I guess I'll kind of start there, but if you really want like the in-depth of it, then definitely check that out. But we're going to just chat a little bit about it here. So if it's something that you're even thinking about doing next year, you can just kind of think of this as like a little bit of just a chat with a bestie, okay? So if you are wanting to launch a planner next year, and maybe you have researched manufacturers and you, for whatever reason, have decided that that's not the route you want to go, sometimes that might happen because you might feel like it's too much of an investment. A lot of times when you work with manufacturers, especially ones that are overseas, you tend to have to get a pretty large, what they call MOQ, or a minimum order quantity. So you could be looking at having to get like a couple hundred. And sometimes people are like not trying to have that stashed, you know, at their house or whatever the case is. Some people do, you know, everyone's preferences and what they want to do are different. A lot of clients I work with tend to want to just kind of ease into it. And so I'll usually end up referring them to a manufacturer in the United States, or I will suggest Handmade. And that all just really will be based on their specific needs, how they want it to look, prices. Like it's a lot of factors, so it's not always easy for me to just tell you, like if you're like, oh, what should I do? It's like I really need to know details to be able to really point you in the right direction. But what I will say is, regardless, in order to do handmade anything, not even just planners, but if you want to do handmade products, you really have to have a want to do that. You have to have an interest to do it. Of course, patience, because it's a lot of labor on your part. It's a lot of labor on your part. So you have to just kind of keep that in mind, that when you are paying for manufacturers to do it, whether it's overseas, if it's here within the United States, or if you happen to be watching from somewhere else around the country, you know, like if it's domestic to you versus if it's somewhere else, it tends to be more expensive when it's coming from a domestic place, because I know at least here in the US, it's like costs are just a lot higher than if I was to get a bulk order of something from China, for example. So pretty much you have to have a want to do it. You have to have a want to do it. And one of the things to consider as well is that you are going to have the room to do it. So even though you may not be stocking up your hundreds of planners, like you do have to have some equipment. Now, it's not a ton, it's not anything crazy. Again, I get into a lot more specifics within the course, but of course you need the binding machine. This is the one that I use. It's the Cinch. But there are so many other binding machines. Like I'm actually considering, not even considering, I'm planning to finally upgrade after all these years of getting a new one, probably from, there's so many options on My Binding. It's a website. I'm going to check that one out so that I don't have to break it up in two, because since this is a little bit of a bigger piece of paper and this only does so many holes at a time, I need to get a new one so that I can just do like a one punch and keep it moving. Because every time I do a set of planners, I have to go through, punch, and then I have to go through and do the other half. And y'all, it just adds a lot of time, okay? But it's not enough, again, to deter me. You see what I'm saying? Like, I genuinely like doing this. So it's like you have to like doing these things, you know, making handmade products, troubleshooting, and especially in the beginning, like when you first get started with it, it'll be your first time using equipment. It'll be your first time trying to figure everything out. And so you might put it together and it might be looking kind of janky. Or, you know, there might be some imperfections and you're like, okay, well, how do I do this? And so just like anything else, the more you learn about it, the more you keep doing it, the more you make, you get more confident. And so now, like, I mean, I'm doing these planners now, you know, of course there's still small imperfections, and I always have that note on my website because, I mean, at the end of the day, this is not a manufactured product, okay? So there will be imperfections. Things are not going to be like manufacturer quality, but I do pick the best quality materials that I can, you know, in my ability as a small shop and all of those things to make sure that you are still getting what you paid for, right? But, you know, these are all things to keep in mind. Like, people are paying for something, and so you do want to do your best with it, and it requires patience. And so how I felt before when I first started doing these planners is so different than how I feel now. Like, when I sit down to do these, it doesn't feel as overwhelming to me as it used to. Like, I used to be literally like, okay, I got to do all these, but now it's to a point where it's very much, makes like a little piece of like little pieces of paper from the punching and stuff on here. There we go. Okay, but you know, it just gets to the point where the more I've done it, I've gotten comfortable with the process. And this thing is so sleek on here, so this is why I'm like slowly easing it in there. And it's just been one of those things where over time, I've really just learned the process. Yeah, after I run out of these things, I think I'm gonna need to get a bigger size. I have so many though, so I just have to deal with it right now, but it's like, it's almost too snug to where it's just a little bit of a challenge to get it on. But I like how tight of a fit it is. Like, it almost seems like it was made for it, but it just can be like really challenging to get on at first. But anyway, you saw my packaging Vlogmas video. I'm using some of these little packaging stickers. These are bigger, and I'm just putting it on there just as kind of a little decoration, little branding. Okay, I got one more, and then I will move on to getting the boxes and stuff together. But basically what I'm saying is that it really first just comes down to like, okay, what do you feel like this is something that you can do? Do you have an interest in creating this yourself and doing it by hand? If that is the case, then continue to move forward in this video, because then we're going to talk a little bit about just the handmade process and some different things. So first things first, you have to figure out what you want it to look like. You can definitely do handmade in a lot of different ways. Like, you can do spiral bound, you can do wire O bound, which is basically just like, or they call it double loop sometimes, or twin loop. I've seen a lot of different words, but basically just these two coils that are looped around, but it's not a spiral, so it does have an opening and it closes. And that's basically one of the things. Essentially does three different things. It punches the pages for you and the covers. It also, you can load up your paper on there, so like it kind of has a place for you to load the paper onto the coil, and then you flip it around another way, and then you can cinch it down, like you clamp it down, and that's how you get it to close. So it really has like multiple functions for the whole thing, and a lot of the binding machines have that as well. So my biggest piece of advice is, if this is something you're going to do, I would out the gate, if you can swing it, to maybe bypass the cinch and just get one of the bigger punches, so that you don't have to do that breaking it up in half, because 9 times out of 10, if you're doing a planner, you will probably have to do that, and unless it's like a really small one, but you can just kind of skip that step. And I'll make sure I have a few things, like some resources or something linked down below as far as like what I mean by the other kinds. But it really depends. So, you know, of course you'll have to research how you want it to look, what type of binding you want, and then that will determine what tools and equipment you need, because you'll need coils, you'll need your machine, of course, you'll need paper, the paper for your inside pages of it, and the same thing can apply to a journal, of course, as well. You could do handmade journals too. And then you need just like different extras. So like however you want your cover to be. Like in the past, I have done handmade laminated covers. I've done like the really thick laminated covers that you see like in the happy planners and things. Last year I actually, was it last year? Might have been the year before. I did some disc bound options for the planners. I'm thinking about bringing that back, but I had to ease into it, so maybe next year we'll see. But yeah, it was just an option for you to basically get disc bound, and so I laminated the cover. So that was a totally different punching. So I have like a whole different punch for disc bound stuff. So you really have to just decide like, okay, what do I want this to look like? How do I want it to feel? Durability wise and different things. I really love hardcover, so that was out the gate why I chose to go with this particular style, because I really like hardcover. It just automatically, I just feel like it just feels good. So from there, you know, you get your coils, you get your paper. Paper is another question I get asked about a lot. I would definitely say, of course, do your research. If you get the course, you know, you can learn all about the suggested paper that I have. But you don't want to get the paper that they use in just standard printers. Like, you're not going to get no 20-pound paper. Like, that's just not going to work. It's going to be basically, you know, very transparent. So it'll have a lot of ghosting when somebody's writing with it. It'll be able to see through on the other side. When you have people that use planners and journals, you definitely don't want that. So paper thickness is extremely important for the inside pages. So you want to make sure that you find one that is good. I know when I first started out, I had no idea about paper. Like, I knew obviously that I liked high quality paper based off of the products I was using, but to know like which one I needed, it really took a little bit of research. And sometimes I would buy some, I would test it out. What is considered like a cover weight versus a text weight, you know, what is glossy versus matte, all those different things matter. And so you want to just make sure that you're getting the best quality, you know, for that. I will also link down below too. I do have a planner and notebook ebook, which is definitely a lot cheaper than the handmade course. But what it does is it will it'll help you with a lot of these beginning things and stuff that we're talking about in here. So make sure you check out the planner and notebook ebook, because that might be what you're looking for, just to get some of these questions answered so you can get started, and even down to deciding if you even want to do it handmade or manufactured. That would be a good resource for you. Once you have that, it's just a lot of trial and error, y'all. I mean, the other really main piece of this is the book board for the covers. So of course there needs to be something for hardcover. And then there's different types of materials you can actually use for making the covers. One of the things that I use is sticker paper, but you can use, I've seen people use a lot of different types of things. Maybe if it's a little bit more of a glossier material. I like sticker paper because I don't have to use glue in order to get the cover to adhere to the book board, but there is book binding glue that you can use as well. And then I also have these little corner protectors that I hammer on with this thing, but I've also used glue in the past. And that's the other thing, like, my process has evolved over time. The things that I used initially have evolved as well. Like, I've tried different things out because you learn, right? And you get better. And so the biggest tip I would say if you're wanting to get into handmade products is to just be willing to learn and be patient, and knowing that, you know, it's not going to come super easy at first unless you have like a book binding background of some sort. You know, making these can definitely be a learning curve, but once you get it, you got it. Like, it's literally like riding a bike. Like, I took about, I guess maybe like a year and a half, almost 2 years away from doing it, and I was able to get right back into it. But yeah, I was able to just pick right back up where I left off. And the only thing I really had to figure out was just I just had to kind of like relearn the settings for the cinch, just because it had been a while, and it was just, you know, just a trial and error. So the biggest thing, the tip I always tell clients, especially when they're wanting to go handmade, but even if you're getting it manufactured, is just get to the sample, okay? Get to the one that you're holding in your hand. Even if it doesn't end up being the final one that you do, getting to the sample is a challenge in itself. And from working with so many women over the years, I can tell you, even from my own personal experiences of getting to my samples, you know, multiple times, but just the joy that it brings you when you are holding something that you have had in your head forever, that maybe you've worked on it, but you haven't actually held it. And so get to the sample. And then once you have that, from there you can decide, okay, I like this, I want to change this. There's certain things that would be better if it was this way. and you just kind of start to figure out what makes the most sense for your final design choices that you want to make. But you got to get to the sample. The last thing you want is to invest in all of the equipment, and then you get very, in some ways, you know, just kind of overwhelmed with learning everything, and then you don't get to the sample, because it can be very easy to be like, I'm gonna just give up, okay? But just keep going, and then you will figure out ways to make the process a little bit easier. Like one of the things off rip for me that I did not enjoy when I used to do my, so back in the day, I used to do A5 planner inserts. That was the first thing that I did. And I always cut down my pages. So like I would get them, you know, just on letter size. I would get bulk prints of them. And then I would take them home and I would cut them down to A5 size. That process, first of all, I had a whole horrible traumatic injury where it had took off some of my thumb. Like if you look at really old videos, and if you see me with a bandage on this thumb, like in a Plan With Me video, yeah, okay, the thing is no joke. It is like a heavy duty cutting machine. It's like guillotine. The thing is, it's legit. It's good. It cuts like 500 sheets of paper at a time. But I knew that sometimes there's just too much room for error with that machine. And I already didn't really enjoy that part of the process. And so I knew that if I was going to do these planners, I was going to outsource my pages. And so that is the one thing that I do not do myself. There is a company that I work with wherever I'm at. There's a company that I work with where they print the pages and they cut them down to size for me. So when I get them, I can just move right into punching. I don't have to worry about the cutting, because the last thing I want is for someone to get at the planner and it is like uneven pages. Like I don't want that, which is, there's always room for error, right? So that's the one thing that I do outsource, as well as my book board. I do get that cut down pretty much the same reason. Also, I have costochondritis as well with my chest, and so it's not really good for me to use that heavy duty cutter. It's not really good for me to use that heavy duty cutter all of the time, because it really puts a lot of just unneeded pressure on this area, and it causes it to like get inflamed. So I just choose to keep it simple, okay, and save myself that step. Okay, so I just got done. We got Lorene's all bubble wrapped up. I also have Noralina. She also got it committed to the call planner. And then there's a Teal CEO in here for Lydia. Lydia from Pennsylvania and Noralina from Cleveland. Y'all, okay. I'm from Cleveland, so I always love to see the support from there. So now I'm gonna go ahead and package these up. I already have one box together, and then I'm gonna end up putting the other ones together in a moment. But the way I've been packaging these up is pretty simple. I'm just putting them in some bubble wrap. I'm keeping it really easy for myself this time around. And then I have this newsprint paper. And I got like a really big order of this last year, and it's lasted me, so I'm still using that. Just kind of like that to keep it super protected. And then I'm gonna throw in a packing slip. So this is for Noralina. And then it'll get taped up. And then her label is right here. Okay, so I'm almost done, y'all. Like when I tell you, I'm getting so excited. The only orders I have outstanding are all like third-party orders, which basically just means like they're getting drop shipped from another company. But I don't have to do anything else as of right now. Like I hope I get more orders and stuff. Like I definitely have stuff on sale throughout December, and I have a fun planner bundle that's going to be coming as well, so look out for that. But as of right now, on this current day and time and moment, I don't have anything else I have to make. So it definitely puts me in a good position to kind of get geared up to just like restock my packing materials, because I'm pretty much getting down to the end of like the stickers I've made and just all of that stuff. So I need to re-up on my stickers and my like I'm running low on this stuff. Just kind of get everything set up, especially for the new year, because lots of fun things are coming. But yeah, if you made it to this part in the video, then that to me means, first of all, that you are an amazing supporter, so thank you. But also that you must have a little bit of interest in either a stationery business, doing handmade planners of some sort. So I'm going to put a code right here on the screen for you to get even more off of the planner and notebook ebook. It's already on sale, but I'm going to give you this code so that you can use it to get started. This is a wonderful thing to purchase for yourself if you are even considering wanting to do a planner or a journal of some sort next year. So that you can kind of get some clarity around what that process looks like. What are some things you need to be thinking about? Because it's not as simple as just saying like, oh, I'm just going to make this and then just going to magically appear, right? Like you have a lot of decisions and things you have to figure out and really decide what do you truly want. And so that ebook is going to give you everything you need and then some. At the end, it even has some recommended manufacturers as well. So I'm just gonna put all of the courses that I've created as far as how to make them by hand, how to get them manufactured, and that ebook. All of those links will be down below. They all are on sale and discounted right now in my course suite. So it's a great time to take a look and check it out and really get the resources that you need so that you can make this happen, because it's so fun. It's a fun business to be in. It definitely has its moments, you know, like it's not always easy, but I mean, what is always easy, right? There's always going to be challenges and things that we face. But yeah, my final things I really just wanted to say is that this is something you can definitely do. You know, I know it can be very easy to feel like this market is saturated, and I'm gonna be honest, in a lot of ways it is, you know. A lot of things are saturated, you know, like people are coming out with new apps every day. Businesses are coming out with new types of food items every day, even though there are already so many to choose from. There's always going to be competition. There's always going to be people that have done it before you. There's always going to be people where it feels like, wow, this was the idea I wanted to do. But I think the thing to remember is that yes, there are people out there doing it, but it should not take away from you. You know, if anything, it should show you like, okay, someone else has done it, which means it's possible for me. And as I always say, you know, like if it is placed within you, it doesn't matter if 10,000 people are doing the exact same thing. Like there must be some reason why you specifically need to do this in this specific season. And you don't know who you can help and who you can benefit just by being obedient to doing this thing, even though you feel like, oh, there's already so many out there. So that's just kind of the last piece of encouragement I wanted to share. You know, making handmade products has, again, you know, its perks. It definitely can. What I love about it the most, I think I would say, is just that there's a lot more flexibility in some ways. You know, there's some limits. Everything has limits and flexibility, right? So some of the limits may be like certain things I'm able to access, like the types of coils that I would really like to be using. I could get them, but I would need to order them from overseas 9 times out of 10. So that's something I'll probably look into at some point. But also it's like, there's so much flexibility. So if I want to do custom products, I can. Like if I was to order 100 from a company, I can't do a custom product from overseas, at least not to my knowledge in any way that I have been trying to do it in the past. And so there are some perks to it, but you know, again, like you are the one putting it together. You know, when somebody places an order, it's not like you sitting there chilling like, oh, okay, that was great. Like, no, you're going to get up and you're going to go make it. Or, you know, if you've already made it, and there's so many ways you can do it. You can take a weekend and you can prep as many as you want and have them ready to go and then be done with it. So it's not like it has to be this bogged down, intense labor thing where it's like nonstop you're making planners. You can take some time and just bulk punch one day. You can take some time and then you just put a whole bunch of covers together while you're watching movies. You know, like there's ways to do it and it's feasible, you know. Now, when it gets to a certain point where it's like, okay, it's growing a lot more, then at that point it would be like, okay, maybe I need to hire some help. Maybe I need to look into some more efficient equipment that can help me move a little bit quicker. And you will know when those times come. But the biggest thing I just want you to take away from this is that you can make it happen. It doesn't have to be as difficult as it probably feels in your mind. And it is totally possible to do it. Like I did it. I didn't know how I was going to make a planner, but it was a dream of mine. And when I have a dream, even if I don't understand why I have that dream, you know, like I'm gonna make it happen at all costs. And if somebody would have told me, because I've always been a planner lover, if somebody would have told me like 10 years ago that I would be making my own planners and selling them and all of that, I would have been like, really? Like I wouldn't have believed it. But what I've learned through this entrepreneur journey is that I am capable of so much more than what I initially believe. And I know that it's the same for you. So whatever you might be thinking about, you know, might be churning in your mind as I'm talking through this, like just know that you're capable of doing it as well. You're capable of figuring things out and doing the hard stuff and, you know, getting through that period of where it just feels very like cloudy of like, okay, like you're being in a fog of just the unknown. You'll eventually get out of that. And you'll be really happy you did. Like, I'm really happy I did. I have no regrets for doing this. You know, could there be things that could make it a little bit better? Yes, but I'm so grateful for everyone that trusts me with these. Like, I really pour my heart into making them, and I'm just really grateful for the support that I get. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these orders, but thank you for watching. If you have any specific questions at all, definitely let me know. And don't forget to check out the links depending on just kind of like your budget and what you're looking for. The ebook is definitely going to be the most affordable, easy option. It's an easy read as well to just kind of get through and sit down, and you can print it out if you want and highlight it. And then if you're ready to like get into the nitty gritty and really get all of the details and every single step along the way, then check out one of the two courses, whether the handmade one or the manufactured one, which is called the Planner and Notebook Bootcamp. So everything will be linked for you down below, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.